Welcome to CyberCEO, wherein we talk about how our cyberbackers helped our cyber CEOs take their businesses to the next level. CyberCEO is powered by Cyberbacker, the world's leading provider of admin support services from anywhere in the world to anyone in the world. Please visit our website www.cyberbacker.com for more details. Good day to everyone who's watching. Another awesome day, of course, another awesome episode of CyberCEO. My name is Jello. I'm the host of CyberCEO, and of course, we have another CyberCEO on board today. Hi, Shannon. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you very much for asking. So first off, we'd like to thank you, of course, for giving us the time to be on the show. We know you're very busy.
No problem. This is going to be kind of exciting.
Of course. So, just wanted to ask, of course, for our listeners right now, for their benefit, can you tell us something about yourself, Shannon?
So my name is Shannon 𝗙𝗃. I'm a Keller Williams agent in the Silicon Beach office, and that's in Los Angeles, so mostly on the west side of LA. Pretty expensive market. Los Angeles is, I think our average price point in this office is a little above 1.1 million. Yeah, so I have a very small team here. I have myself, my virtual assistant through Cyberbacker, someone who helps me with some marketing, and a showing agent. So yeah, and last year I did a pretty good, decent size amount of business. I did a little over 500,000.
Wow, even with the pandemic, that's good. That's good.
Yeah, it was really good. It was really good.
Was there a difference? Let me ask. I know I'm going off topic here, but when it comes to your revenue last year, was it real close to pre-pandemic or still the same?
It was just a little bit higher than pre-pandemic, so 2019. So I did about, I think I did 6% higher last year.
Oh, that's good. All
Yeah.
right. So business never stops, even throughout the pandemic, right?
Yeah, it was very busy towards the end of last year. Certainly right after the shutdown happened, it was very slow and worrisome slow because I didn't see a lead or a possibility coming in anytime during the about 3 months.
Gotcha then. So my next question is about your Cyberbacker. How long have you been partnered with your own Cyberbacker?
I've been with Camille since November of 2020. So it'll be about 9 months now.
Going on 9 months, yes, that's right. And how has been the experience so far?
She's amazing. She really has lifted off a lot of the back end. I've trained her through videos. I've trained her through just having her watch me do what I do on the computer. Of course, she's virtual, so she's not following me anywhere. The training on the Cyberbacker side was very good. She had someone to ask questions. I also make myself available to her every day. We don't always talk every day, but most of the time we're at least messaging every day. And I use a platform called Slack, which I know you guys also use.
Yes.
To not only speak to her, but to speak to all my clients.
Okay, that's good. So I believe in that as well. Open communication, even if you don't meet the person in Zoom every day or talk to them, at least a message every day would be nice, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Definitely. So, no, these type of relationships, they aren't the typical relationship that we're used to. Having an assistant right by your side, right in the same building or same office, right? But I know you've been with us for going on 9 months now. What makes this type of relationship work? What makes it successful?
So I think that one of the main things is to check in with her every day, and then for her to ask me things that need to get done. And then we get to a certain place, and this probably happened a few months after she started, where she's beginning to see the work that needs to happen. She's in my email, my texts, in my voice messages every day. So she knows what needs to get done. She puts my to-do list together as it builds throughout the day, and then checks in with me at the end of the day to make sure I know where to find my to-do list or to remind me to double check those things. Because I've worked very hard to get her integrated at many steps along the way. I think that she also has checklists. So I'm really big on checklists. So she can go to a checklist and kind of find things. So she doesn't have to wait for me to figure out what the next step is. And she certainly can't read my mind. So she doesn't know what priorities there are. So she's learning priorities really by looking at the checklist and then checking that against what we're working on together.
Okay. And so far during that 8 months, what can you tell me about Camille? Working with her, interaction, things like that.
Yeah, I mean, we get along really well. Mostly, I think because I don't just talk business with her. You know, we talk about. Sometimes I'm eating lunch with her while we're having a video call. She wants to know what I'm eating, right? And other times, like she'll snack on something, and I'm like, what are those chips, right? So, I mean, I'm getting to know her niece, who also lives with her, because she walks into the room and like starts talking to her. So it's like kind of think these like smaller things that we're getting used to also just because we have had a very virtual year of doing business where the dog is barking and the kids are coming into the room. We're eating while we're talking to somebody. So I feel like there's this very natural level of integration outside of work where we're just getting to know each other, even though I have actually never hugged her. I don't even know how tall she is.
Oh, even the height, of course. That's the only, let's say, challenge of working with someone virtual. But other than that, anything that the person can do virtually, anything that they can do in front of a computer with internet, that's the only thing, right? Just meet them in person. Maybe one day, you never know, right?
Yeah. I have said to her, I was like, well, maybe I'll go back to the Philippines and go say hi to you one day.
There, of course, you never know what's gonna happen. Maybe after the
Yeah.
pandemic, yeah? All
Yes, of
right.
course.
So, talking about your cyberbacker Camille, she's been with you for 8 months. Let's say, how much additional revenue has she made you in your business, or how much time has she saved you ever since she started?
Yeah. So I think the easy way for me to calculate this is to kind of tell
Hmm.
you the numbers, but I know she's saved me time. So I'll try to answer both of them for
No
you.
problem.
I think in terms of what she's helped me with in GCI, um, I should be able to do about 500 in GCI 3 months earlier than I did last year. So then I'll have 3 more months to see how much more I can do, right? And so that's a very easy
Hmm.
calculation. I know she's saved me time. It's just difficult to know how much because as the business has increased, I don't know that I've just had more help, so I can take on more business. But I am with my coach's advisement and of course nudging, learning to take at least one day off a week. And I know that's almost sad to admit to a podcaster that I am not taking. I'm working 7 days a week, but with Camille, I am able to take one day off a week, sometimes two.
Wow. If you don't mind me asking, how long have you been working that 7 day week before you had your own cyberbacker Camille?
Um, I probably been doing that for about the last 3.5, almost 4 years.
Wow. That's a
Yeah,
long
the
time.
building phase is intense.
That's a long time, but now that you have Camille on board, so you at least have one day off then. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm pretty good about taking one day off. Like it's not a perfect uniform thing, but I do know it's important for me to do that.
Of course, to
So,
recharge, right?
yeah.
So, there are a lot of people right now that aren't familiar of what a cyberbacker can do, how a cyberbacker can help them with their business. Now, what are the things that Camille does for you in your business so they would know more?
So Camille does a lot of the back end work. As a real estate agent, I'll just use that
Hmm.
as a good place to start. She's writing offers for me, especially in a market where buyers have to write a lot of offers before they get an offer accepted. She's countering for me. She's doing a lot of the contract organizing before we open escrow because my transaction coordinator picks it up from there
Hmm.
once we do open escrow. She does check in on the transaction coordinator more so to make sure she is on the same page with all the documentation that the transaction coordinator has. She does directly interact with a lot of my clients. Sometimes it's just to let her know that that we're ready to have the open house or we're ready to have showings. And other times she's actually scheduling showings. So she has been scheduling 95% of my showings since the beginning of 2021. And that took a lot of time. And in a market where, yes, I have listings, but I also have a lot of buyers, scheduling the showings during a pandemic means that we're very tightly scheduled one after another because we can't let too many people in the house. She's been great about that, just really scheduling it very tight, whether we're holding it for the seller or we're doing it for the buyers. So those are some of the big things that she has done for me. There's a lot of other smaller things that she does for me, like creating to-do lists, checking over contracts that have, and when we receive an offer and organizing the offers that are coming in. She reaches out to lenders to make sure we're all on the same page, that if we need new documentation for anything related to a buyer or a client who's selling their property. We also do, I do a lot with her to get her to, she answers my phone when she's working. So the phone is just routed to her. And so that she even told me at one point, she's like, okay, Shannon, I need you to not answer your phone because you aren't finishing the other things because, and I told Camille at the beginning, I said, you may or may not think this is funny, but at some point, Camille, if we get really good at this, you will begin to manage me, and I am not managing you anymore. And I think that we've safely come fairly close to she's almost managing me. So yeah.
Wow, so she's like everywhere there. Calendar, phone calls, voice messages, everything, even contracts, scheduling as well. Now, this type of role could grow in a few months more, right? Maybe in the weeks, months, maybe a year from now. What are some of the things that you're considering having Camille do for you and your business in the future?
There are some of the nuanced part of real estate that still, again, virtually, she's, not going to show up with the meeting with me at a meeting, but there are some nuances to getting, Camille and I are working on, for example, comparables. So, I mean, she doesn't live in Los Angeles, and I've had her do comparables over and over again. I go in and I'm like, okay, we're going to still work on that. Right. And I think it is sometimes difficult to know what a comparable home is from one home to another when you don't live in a city.
Yes,
so,
that's true.
Yeah, it's very nuanced in my opinion. I think that's one area we're probably going to continue to work on. I think some other areas that she's starting to catalog a lot of my training videos. Every time I train her on something, we record a video about that specific activity. And then we've created a catalog. And now I think what I'd like her to do is get prepped for a new team member who may end up joining in person. And I said, you're going to train them. So that's the other thing is, so she's going to potentially start training some of the people on my team on the things she does, so she can do more of the other things I want her to do. And then I think it's also important for her to also get a little bit more trained up on doing more of the listing. I usually take more control of that. But I think that she's very capable, and we are kind of maxed out right now in terms of timing. So we probably will need more help. And I think having her do some more help on the listing side would be great.
I know Camille will be very excited about that. She's gonna have growth with you and your business, training other team members from your team. That's awesome.
Yeah. She knows that's on the horizon.
Ooh, that's great. That's great. Growth minded. Now, I know these type of relationships as well. As we mentioned earlier, these aren't the typical relationships that you have usually having this in the same building, same place, things like that. Have there been any challenges working with Cyberbacker?
I mean, there's always challenges in any work relationship. So, certainly Camille and I have had some challenges. What's really been impressive is that, she's had very consistent internet. I think being able to be connected through the internet is very important, and having reliable internet. I'd say some of the other challenges are just, there's a lot of things that we're working on at any one given time. And so we've gone from a slower pace to a medium pace to an absolute breakneck pace. And that's where I and she also find those challenges. So things like when we scheduled something and it's on the calendar for the wrong day, so people show up at the wrong time. I mean, these things happen because we've so many things running at the same time. And I think that every time something happens, I always say, all right, Camille, so how are we going to do it better? And where do you think we can make this maybe better in the future? If not better, then to avoid it altogether. And she's really good about it. She's very thoughtful about that. She does know I kind of ask the similar questions. So she's ready.
All right, that's good. Feedback is very important as well when building this type of relationship, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Of course. Now, one more question for you, Shannon. Now, there are still a lot of people right now who are thinking about, not really thinking about, having second thoughts, per se, on having their own cyberbacker or something stopping them. Now, what advice would you be able to give these people so they can be on board in the virtual world and have their own cyberbacker?
I mean, I tell a lot of my colleagues in this business how great she is. Actually, a lot of them speak to her when they call my line. If I don't pick up, it gets routed to her. So they're like, oh wow, how'd you find Camille? You know, and so I think there's a lot of people that just have to experience it sometimes to say like, wow, that's pretty amazing. I think other times it's very helpful to hear a successful agent maybe say, you know, I really think this could work for you. I know for myself, I needed to get more off my plate, and I've actually had previous virtual assistants, and I've also had in-person assistants, and she and I just really work well together, and she sees this pace we're on, and so I think that helps a great deal.
I know Camille is gonna be listening to this episode, Shannon. So would you want to give out a shout out maybe or anything you'd like to say to her?
Yeah, no, I mean, these are things I tell Camille all the time. And this week, not alone, I told her, I was like, hey, you're the best. And I told her, I was like, I really appreciate you. And I've also told her, I'm like, wow, Camille, you're really on top of it. Thank you for reminding me of those things. And I just want to remind her that I'm very grateful to her.
Of course, and I'm sure that Camille is also very grateful. Of course, within the future as well, she's gonna have growth with you in your business. So, to everyone who's listening, if you'd like to have someone that you can rely on to help you with these tasks that really don't need your time, things that you can leverage, just visit our website. And Shannon, thank you very much for being on the show. We really appreciate your time. Thank you for listening to our daily dose of Cyber CEO. Stay tuned to know more about how Cyberbacker creates a difference in this digital time and age. You can visit our website www.cyberbacker.com and follow our social media pages on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Spotify.